The Aggies, the Jazz, the high schools. If it's the sport you care about, we're talking about it. The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Good afternoon, everybody. Eric Frandsen, Ajay, Salvesen. Thanks for tuning in and joining us on a Thursday, a very busy Thursday in sports. A day that has never happened before and may not happen ever again, though you never know these days. Things could happen like this in the future. College football, NFL going on today. That's not so unusual. Major League Baseball happening today. Okay, sure, it's that time of year. Tennis, U.S. Open, sure, that happens. But the NBA? No. NHL? No. But all those things are happening at the same time today. They're all happening on this date.
MLS doesn't usually happen.
Major League Soccer is happening today.
Did
Yes.
RSL get a win over LAFC yesterday, I believe?
Yes, they did.
So is that the playoffs, or are they still in the regular season?
I think they're still in the regular season.
Okay.
So a lot of things happening today. We tried to cover some bases on some of those sports topics last hour. We'll cover some of the other sports this hour, more notably some things going on in the NFL and Major League Baseball. But one thing to quickly touch on with the NBA in the bubble today, it's the LA Lakers and the Houston Rockets getting ready to tip off at about right now. It's that game will be on TNT, but there's question about if the Rockets will have a full complement of players. Daniel House Jr. is under investigation for breaking protocol and letting someone into his room. Now, Rachel Nichols reporting on this and saying that according to sources, the Rockets' entire team had to enter quarantine period on Tuesday due to the potential exposure. Sources said there appears to be no video connecting House and the woman, only the flagging of her entering and leaving the hotel and the possibility of a door opening and closing to match the timelines. The NBA has informed involved parties that it has circumstantial evidence implicating House. He has vehemently denied to the league that he engaged in any improper contact with the staffer.
Okay,
now,
but
the contact is with somebody who is in the bubble already and had to clear their own protocols. So a 10-day quarantine is probably not likely, but there may be something for breaking protocols.
Well, if it's like a 5-day quarantine, you might as well send them home. Because this series isn't going 7. I mean, unless I'm crazy, I don't think this series is going 7 games. So you might as well just tell them, hey, pack up your bags and head out. We'll just meet you when we get back to Houston. That's funny that, again, there's two sides to every story, right? But you got House saying, no, that's not true. I didn't, it's fine. But you're all liars. And then NBA's like, dude, we've got video. Like, we're not stupid. We have cameras. We have evidence. We do our research. And there's no way that they would come out and say that they're going to have an investigation pending if they didn't have that evidence.
Well, but if he hasn't been proven that he broke protocol, shouldn't he still play until he's proven?
But here's the thing. Did he break protocol, though? What's protocol, Eric? Do not allow anybody from outside the bubble to enter into your room.
Well, that's the question. Was she from outside the bubble, or was she already working inside the bubble?
Even if she's working inside the bubble, the rule is don't allow anybody that's not supposed to be inside your room. That is a rule. So whether she's from outside the bubble, whether she's from Africa, or whether she's the dang maid for another player, you can't freaking let her inside your room. It's a rule. I don't care if you're getting Magic City chicken wings on a recommendation from Lou Williams or whoever the heck it was. Like, you can't do that.
House Jr. is one of the major contributors for Houston, one of the first guys off the bench for the Rockets. That game is going to be starting here soon. So, let's see what happens. Again, it'll be on TNT. Let's shift gears to the NFL. They start their season tonight. Also, about a 6:20, 6:30 start on NBC. The Chiefs against the Texans. Houston is a team that's got usually has some exciting players and seems to always have potential, but always seems to find a way to self-sabotage themselves and not quite hit their ceiling. Great quarterback. I really like their quarterback. I think they have some good defensive players, but they have made some interesting moves to ship away some of their great talent at wide receiver position. So we'll see how that all comes together, if those were smart decisions or if they really come back to bite them. And a lot of hype around the Kansas City Chiefs this year. This will be fun to see the NFL get going as really one of the last sports to do anything since coronavirus hit. They've had the benefit of watching and observing all these other leagues try to deal with playing within the current situation, and now we'll see if the NFL can pull it off.
Yeah, and the whole like outside the bubble thing, right? Because the NBA was able to do it inside of a bubble, as you mentioned. The MLB has had struggles with it, more due to the fact that players were not abiding by the rules that they were given. And that's another problem we have again, Eric, is that we don't have a bubble to limit these players. Now, that could be a good thing because then they're able to go back home to their families, or that could be a bad thing because then they go to a strip club or a bar or whatever, and who knows what the heck happens. So there's a little bit of give and take here. It's really going to be on the players to make sure that they abide by the rules that they've been given. If they can't do that, then we've got an issue. If they can stay within the confines of the rules of whatever they are, without a bubble being there, then they should be fine. But again, like you said, it's good to have football back. It's a great matchup to start with, too. I think Deshaun Watson versus Patrick Mahomes is sexy. I don't think the NFL saw Bill O'Brien being as dumb as he is to trade DeAndre Hopkins away like that. I thought, they're probably cussing at him when he did, because that was their opening day matchup. But here we are, and we'll see if the Chiefs can pick up where they left off. Eric, we haven't had. What are you more surprised by in the NFL? No team that's hosted the Super Bowl has been in the Super Bowl that same year, or we haven't had a back-to-back champion since 2003-04 when the New England Patriots did it.
Probably that no team has won the Super Bowl whose arena hosts the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So, like, Indianapolis.
That probably
New
surprises
Orleans,
me more than anything.
Rams, we've had all these great teams, Dallas Cowboys, and they've never hosted the Super Bowl, or they've never played in the Super Bowl when their cities hosted it that year.
Now, even when Tampa Bay won the Super Bowl, it wasn't in Tampa, which is usually a good destination.
Yes, absolutely. Where's the Super Bowl at this year? Is it in Minnesota? I now have to look that up. Man, I'm bad at this. I do this all the time. I ask questions that we just don't know the answer to, and it gets us in trouble. Super Bowl host, is that what I put? Is it in Las Vegas?
No. Super Bowl will be in Tampa.
So maybe.
It's possible this year.
Maybe. Tom Brady's accomplished everything except play a Super Bowl in the city that is host to their team. So maybe that's a little bit of motivation right there. This is going to be really interesting. I'm actually looking forward to this. Hey, I didn't ask you yesterday, by the way, and I don't think we ever got to it. Who is your MVP pick for the NFL?
My preseason MVP?
Prediction. Sure, let's do that.
It's hard not to pick Patrick Mahomes. It could be. There's a couple different guys that it could be, but I think he's going to have a lot of momentum on his side.
Yeah, and again, he has the weapons too.
Yeah,
right. He has all
have
the
a lot of
weapons
guys around him that make
Tyreek Hill. He has Travis Kelce. He has that great offensive line, which I believe was in the top 5 for allowed sacks. And it helps that Patrick Mahomes has the mobility like he does. But yeah, he has all the weapons around him to be an MVP this year. And I think he's actually looking forward to that because, him and Lamar Jackson were battling for it last year. Lamar ends up taking it. He took that pretty personal too. So, it could be intriguing. I actually have Lamar winning it again. I think,
really?
And for the opposite reason, right? Because Lamar won the MVP last year, and then his team got bounced out by this they ran into a buzzsaw that was just caught on fire in Tennessee. And so Lamar has this unfinished business.
Okay.
And he has a vengeance, and he says, I'm not only going to take the MVP, but I'm going to take care of business in the AFC this year as well.
That's going to be fun to watch.
It is. It's going to be really, okay, so here's another question for you. What conference are you excited for more? Just the so many storylines in the NFC. Tom Brady now in the NFC, in the same division as Drew Brees. An open conference, really. Is it the Packers? Is it the Saints? Is it the Bucks? The Cowboys was Mike McCarthy. Can he turn that around? Or
can the 49ers repeat the success they had a year ago?
And prove that it wasn't a fluke, that it was actually real?
Russ Wilson, what's going on with Seattle? Can they be in the mix?
Or are you excited about the AFC because of the underdog storyline? Again, you have Buffalo, who's up and coming. Cleveland, as Cleveland always does, feels like they have made the improvements and adjustments that they'll be better. They fired Freddie Kitchens. They got a new coach who's a much better coach as well. Which conference are you more excited to see duel it out, AFC or NFC?
I'm usually more of an NFC guy.
Yeah.
And so I think that I'm still leaning more NFC.
Yes.
I think there's some new additions and interesting storylines in the NFC. Don't get me wrong, the AFC has its own as well, but I'm a little more intrigued with the NFC this year.
I'm with you. So I remember 10 years ago when the AFC dominated the storylines in the NFL, right? It was Tom Brady versus the whole entire AFC. You had Ray Lewis on the Baltimore Ravens, who was dueling it out with Tom Brady in the playoffs almost every single time. In 2009, you had Peyton Manning. Just the storylines and the characters in the AFC were so dang good, and it was so darn juicy that you wanted every bit of it. And it's almost entirely flipped now. Like, Tom Brady's in the NFC. Drew Brees is there. Michael Thomas. Leonard Fournette is now playing for the Bucks. Alvin Kamara's over there. That's a matchup on week one. That's week one. Aaron Rodgers. Now, how long does he last? Jordan Love's his backup. Or is Jordan Love even not good enough? Now is the question.
Yep.
There's just so much going on in the NFC. I'm really intrigued, and I think that is a bigger guess of who's going to come out of it in the NFC than the AFC is. I feel like the AFC is down to two teams, Baltimore and Kansas City. NFC is chock full of candidates who could be possible Super Bowl contending teams.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And in fact, we're going to have a really great matchup on Sunday here on the Fan.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait for this.
Tampa Bay at New Orleans. Man, what a great matchup to get things started.
That's at New Orleans, is that right?
New Orleans, yes.
Hey, so here's the thing, though.
The Saints are favored by 3.5 right now.
So there's no such thing as home field advantage this year. Would you say? They're going to play in front of maybe 6,000 fans or whatever.
We talked a little bit about that yesterday with Ethan, just how home field advantage doesn't mean quite as much in the NFL as it perhaps may have used to, because you've got your chartered jets and you're always staying in nice hotels, and the scheduling of everything is different and more sophisticated now. You've got coaches who can communicate directly into the headset of your quarterbacks, so crowd noise doesn't necessarily mean the same. But I think there's still something to be said for travel, especially later in the year. If you're an outdoor arena and it's 10 degrees outside and you're from the South,
yeah.
I think that does absolutely play into what your game's going to be like. But this early in the season, I don't know that home field means quite as much. If you're a domed team, it's the same temperature every time. But I think that the fan thing is, I think what you're alluding to, fans won't be there as much. It'll be quieter, but I think it'll be better than not having fans. Some arenas won't. Like the Raiders will not allow any fans in their games. So
that's nothing new. They never had fans anyways.
I don't know about that. But I'm excited to see the NFL get going. We've got a great matchup that we'll have here on the Fan on Sunday afternoon. Just after 2 o'clock, it'll be the Buccaneers at the Saints, and we'll have the full play-by-play here on the Fan.
Really quickly, if I may, with that game, that is going to be a huge step in the direction towards the driver's seat for that division championship. Because if Tampa Bay can get the upper hand and beat New Orleans, they get a game at home in Tampa as game 2. If you split, if New Orleans wins that game, the worst they can do is split with Tampa Bay, which I would believe those are the two teams competing for the NFC South Division title. So that's a huge game for both squads.
So I haven't seen what the Fox affiliate here locally is going to do, but that game, the Buccaneers and Saints, just like I said, about 2:20 is when that one kicks off.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be shown on Fox. But the Cardinals at 49ers will also kick off at that same time. So I don't know if we're going to be watching the Buccaneers and the Saints.
If I turn on my freaking TV,
or the Cardinals and the 49ers.
If I turn on my freaking TV and find the Cardinals on my TV, I'm going to be pissed. And this is a guy who has Kyler Murray as his quarterback, and I don't care. I want me Brady and Breeze. And if I don't get that, DirecTV's receiver is going to have to be replaced because mine's going to be out the window. And I'm going to be making some phone calls.
That game actually will be interesting in other ways to see if that game even happens with all the bad air quality with the fires all around San Francisco.
Yeah, it's true. They're going to play, right? I mean, there's no way they don't.
If the air quality is bad, the NFL won't let them play.
The NFL is going to let them play.
But as the readings earlier in the week indicated that it is healthy enough for them to play. But have you seen the pictures of San Francisco, though?
I saw a picture of the Giants game last night, and it didn't look good.
It looks like post-apocalyptic. It's orange skies, smoke and haze everywhere.
Post-apocalyptic.
One game that also will be interesting in the opening weekend is the Cowboys at the Rams. It'll be the new inaugural game for their new arena in L.A., the SoFi Stadium. It looks beautiful. I mean, it's crazy how big that thing is and how it can be used in multiple ways. But new head coach for the Cowboys. Rams, disappointing season last year, trying to rebound, making some more financial commitments that with veteran guys. But one of the other things that will be talked about a lot are some comments that were revealed today by the Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott. Did you hear about this? He had a brother, his older brother, committed suicide, and there was a lot of things going on earlier in the year with coronavirus and being in lockdown and in quarantine, and he talked about some of the mental health issues and depression that he's been dealing with in the off season, and he was very open about it. And he said, he had emotions that he never felt before. He had held a lot of things in. Of course, he had a mom that died just a few years ago that had a lot of health problems. So, and his brother did a lot to help with that. It was a big burden on him. So he really was open about some of the emotions that he felt and how hard it was for him. And first of all, I applaud Dak Prescott for being open about this. Kevin Love came out a few years ago and talked about some of his battles with depression and anxiety. Kyle Lowry has talked about it. Not Kyle Lowry. Point guard for Brooklyn.
Kyrie
Irving. Thank you. Sorry. He's talked a little bit about that. Other players, professional athletes, have brought this up before, and I applaud them for doing that. Here's the problem: there are people, former players, and some prominent media personalities that are getting after Dak Prescott for coming out and talking about his battles with mental health and with anxiety and depression. Shame on them. Today is World Suicide Awareness Day. Of all days to be bagging on a guy for feeling emotions because he lost a brother to suicide and bagging on him, saying that's not leadership. Shame on you. That's ridiculous. It is absolutely embarrassing that in today's day and age that's still going on.
So, two things. One, if you don't follow Skip Bayless on Twitter, you understand. Then you probably should just go look at his amount of tweets, and you can see the shtick that he drives consistently. And I mean, when I say consistently, every single day. The characters are the same that he talks about, but the topics of that character change on a day-to-day basis. And then he just cycles through them after he's finished them. And so when he found this out and Dak announced it, he decided, oh, there's a new turn. Someone created a new turning lane of Dak Prescott, and he claims to be a Cowboys fan. And he drives that like crazy. I'm not, honestly, you look through his stuff, it's either LeBron, Dak, or Damian Lillard for the last 30 shows. That's not a joke. That is dead serious. And now that he got something new to hang his hat on, he went after it. Problem is this is not the topic to be going after. This is the wrong way to go about it. And you know what the crazy part is? Is that he will not apologize about it because, Eric, it worked. And he can go on tomorrow's show and say, I had thousands and thousands of people come after me about this. And he'll drive that. He'll drive it that he got all the attention he wanted and that it worked. 9315 in the media wonders why I get such a bad rap. Shame on them. This is why I love the full court press. You'll never find things like that here. Well, you're right. One, we like our jobs, and the thing is they're not going to fire Skip Bayless. As much as I can't stand the guy, and I think his co-host is even worse, Shannon Sharp. They're not going to fire him because they're driving in ratings like crazy. And guess what? Tomorrow, I can tell you this right now. Tomorrow, their ratings are going to skyrocket. They're going to absolutely skyrocket because they got exactly what they wanted out of it. And shame on them for doing it. You're right. But they're going to skyrocket. Number two, really quickly. What Dak Prescott has is a bummer. And is so unfortunate. And I feel for him. But here's the thing, Eric. That we have friends, right? You and I and our wonderful listeners know, and of somebody, family, friend, whoever, has something like this. And maybe a more serious condition. And for whatever reason, so many people just wave it off. When Kevin Love announced that he had depression, you had all sorts of athletes, all sorts of media outlets, all sorts of sports analysts reach out to Kevin Love and say, hey, we love you. Way to go. Be strong. You're going to make it. But what about that friend, he or she, who's going through the exact same thing, and when we hear about it, we're kind of like, okay, well, we hope you get better. Let us know if you need anything, and that's it. This should be a stark reminder for us all that Kevin Love and whoever it is, I don't want to say just random names because I don't want to, in case somebody has it, but whoever it is, how come they can't get the same attention and affection and love and care and desire and the help that Kevin Love and Dak Prescott are getting? What's the difference? What am I missing here? Because these people, and I'm going to be very careful how I phrase this, these people don't have the circle of friendship that Dak has. Some don't, most don't, that Dak has, that Kevin Love has. And that's unfortunate. And that's where our world needs to be better. That, hey, I know you're not Kevin Love or I know you're not Dak Prescott, but you still matter a ton to me. You've always mattered a ton to me. How come they're not hearing that? That's and you've seen people come out onto Twitter and say, hey, I am facing depression. And there's 4 or 5 people are like, hey, good luck, hope for the best. You'll get through it. But Kevin Love says it and says, Kevin, if you need anything at all, please don't hesitate to let me know. We love you so much. It's kind of interesting, and it's really, really sad.
Just from a personal note, if I may.
Sure.
Brother-in-law took his life about a year and a half ago. Devastating. It affected me and my family for months. So if someone were to come after me, and after I had made some comments that Yeah, I struggled with that. It was hard. It was hard on me. It was hard on my family. And if someone came after me for feeling that way, boy, that would have been really hard. Really hard. Because I'm already feeling bad. Like, could I have done something more? You always feel that guilt. What could I have done more so that didn't have to happen? But then if somebody's trying to guilt me for feeling that way, it just makes it worse. So first of all, let's all make a commitment that we don't pay attention to that guy anymore, that Skip guy. I have not watched him or paid attention to him for years. It just showed up in my timeline and I couldn't avoid it today. But if I could accept my invitation to not follow him, tweet at him, like him, or watch his program. It's hurtful. Some of the things that he says, it's misguided,
horribly,
and it's ignorant. What I fear is that it's he's got willing ignorance. So I appreciate what Dak Prescott is talking about. Certainly, we've seen this problem rear its ugly head in our own communities, in one of our own local high schools within the last few weeks. That causes major ripple effects, and you have to treat it seriously. So, I don't want to be detract too much from what's going on in sports, because that's why we're here, to talk about those things. But we can all do better. And I appreciate your comments, Ajay. Let's take it seriously. If someone's down, don't just give the superficial hope you do better. Let us be better in reaching out and being a friend and a listening ear.
And the thing
it makes a big difference.
Yeah, and here's the thing is, what this, I'm not going to mention his name, what this gentleman said this morning, people are saying, well, it's not horrible because he was just having a differing point of view on it. No, it's bad because the way he phrased it. And if you can't understand that, then you, sir, or you as an individual also have a major problem.
Right. His point was, you're the quarterback. You have to be the leader.
You're America's team.
Right. You can't allow yourself to have those emotions.
You should be able to be numb to that. That's not true.
Dak Prescott is not a robot.
That reflects exactly to what you just said, that what he said was incredibly misguided. And then to say, well, people can have a differing viewpoint on something, it's just absolutely stupid. Yes, you can have a differing viewpoint on things, sure. But when it comes to depression and someone announcing they have depression and you ridiculing them for having depression because they're a quarterback of an NFL football team and they should be numb and invisible to all such things, even though they're human, and that's okay to say, is just absolutely ludicrous. Just ludicrous in my mind. And, man.
Last comment from Dak Prescott on this issue. We'll leave it with his words, which I think are appropriate. It says, mental health is a huge issue and a real thing in our world right now, especially the world we live in, where everything is viral and everyone was part of the media. You can get on social media and be overcome with emotions and thoughts of other people and allow that to fill in their head when things aren't necessarily true, whether it's getting likes on Instagram or something being viewed or getting bullied or whatever it may be. All those things create emotions and put things in your head about yourself or your situation in life that aren't true. I think it's huge. I think it's huge to talk. I think it's huge to get help, and it saves lives. Close quote. So I applaud Dak Prescott for speaking up. It is a difficult issue. You know what? It's hard to talk about. Some people don't want to talk about downer issues. But, man, it's a very real thing. There's a lot of fatigue and anxiety right now with COVID and uncertainty in the world. We got riots, we got fires, we got hurricane-strength winds going on in our neighborhoods. There's a lot of fatigue and anxiety. So let's be extra diligent in reaching out and being a listening ear and a helpful friend.
And don't go through the motions, right? Don't go through the hi, how are you doing? What can I do for you? All right, have a good day. Actually care. Like, or be sincere when you approach people like that, because it is a major problem. It's a disease. It's a mental issue. It's a health issue in so many ways. And so be willing to care about them. Hey, before we go to break too, is it time for break? Do we got a break?
It's time for break.
Okay, so at break, I want you to go to Rich Eisen's Twitter account and read his tweets about it. It will make you feel so much better. What he said, because that guy does not get on Twitter a lot to tweet about things in regards to someone else saying something, but he shreds Skip apart in so many good ways, and he does it so eloquently and so professionally. It's awesome. So when we come back, let's get back to sports, right? Baseball. Eric, your Cubs, my Braves.
Oh, my word. That score last night by the Braves.
That's what you get when you're down 2-0 and you're just really ticked off and you decide to swing the bat. Wow. See what my Braves can do every now and then?
Yeah, what is the playoff race looking like?
It's spicy right now.
We're just a few weeks away from the end of the regular season. We'll talk about that and our Pick 6 coming up next on Full Court Press.
It doesn't matter who you root for. The Full Court Press has all the high school sports covered. The Full Court Press. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and online at 1069thefan.com.
At Rich Eisen. That's what he is on Twitter. Some things that he posted just a few hours ago. I think you're right, Ajay. These are worth reading, and I will do it on air. Going after Dak for sharing mental depression and doubt publicly and how it affects his ability to effectively lead others says way more about the person who goes after him than it does about Dak. I mean, it's such an antiquated view of what's supposedly strong and what's supposedly weak, and it's been shown time and again that reinforcing depression and being open about it as something that's weak is terribly harmful. It's so serious a subject that I broke my rule about tweeting about what this person says because he's the personification of what's wrong with my business. Being heard and discussed is more important than being accurate or, in this case, responsible. I love that he never called him by name. He doesn't deserve that respect.
So, do you remember when ESPN or when he got the offer from Fox and he was so happy about it and he left and ESPN didn't do a goodbye, didn't do anything like that. Like Mike Golick Jr. they did, Trey Wingle they done, when Greenberg and the Mike and Mike show was done, they did a nice little tribute. When Skip Bayless left, it was crickets. And in fact, Scott Van Pelt took the opening segment of his show that evening and tore into Skip Bayless for about 3 minutes, calling him overpaid. And by the way, did not mention his name once, but called him overpaid, overrated, and egotistical in that segment. Tells you everything you need to know about the individual that we're speaking about.
I think that's all true words. And he doesn't deserve any more of our airtime, so let's move on. Major League Baseball is, you know what, they had some bumps in the road early, but I think they've done a fairly good job of managing some of those issues. And there have been a few tests along the way, positive tests where guys have been held out or games have had to be postponed or made up. But I think by and large, Major League Baseball has been doing fine with managing their season in the midst of this coronavirus. We're a couple of months into the season here, and with only a few weeks left of the regular season. Ajay, this is kind of fun to see in a shortened season how things are playing out and who's doing a better job managing things and who may be in a better position in the stretch run here.
Well, that's the thing is now you have less room for error, right? You can't lose. You can't go on a 3 or 4 game losing streak. And I think you actually mentioned this, Eric. I'm stealing your point because before the season you said this. You can't go on a 3 or 4 game losing streak and expect to be okay at the end. You have to win the games you're supposed to win. And the NL is just nuts right now.
Yeah.
The NL is absolutely bonkers.
Especially that West Division.
Where's the West Division sit? I'm looking for that one.
Well, Dodgers are 32-12. They have the best record in baseball. The Padres are hitting the ball out of the park left and right. They've won 8 of their last 10 games. They're on a 4-game winning streak. The Giants are 23-21. They've won 5 in a row. They have the longest win streak right now in Major League Baseball, and they're trying to creep up and to put themselves in a position to maybe get a wild card opportunity. So the Cubs are holding on to their division, though they look really good at times, and they have some missteps, like losing to the Reds here and there a couple times. So, but the Braves. Let's talk about that Braves game for just a minute. That was a football score.
No, but dude, here's the thing: is that we lost the series. So it was like, yay, great, we scored 29 runs, but we lost the freaking series. Like, in the end, no, I don't care because we lost the series and we need the series, man. And right now we're getting beat by the Nationals 5-2. It's cool, sure, it's fun. Yeah, hey, you scored 29 runs. Yeah. Still lost the series, bro. And so here's the thing. When we look at the NL.
Is there anybody that did not get a hit?
No, everybody did.
I think everybody got a hit in that game.
Acuna Jr. went what? Did he have multiple home run game, or was it just he had a sole shot to deep left center?
Yeah, he just had that.
Just that one?
Yep.
So in the NL, Eric, Dodgers, Braves, Cubs, and Padres have all locked up a playoff spot. Pirates and Diamondbacks have been more than less eliminated from contention. That leaves 9 teams fighting for 4 spots in the bottom, half of the bracket, if you want to call it that. That includes the Phillies, Cardinals, Giants, Marlins, and how about the Marlins, by the way? Brewers, who are 18-22. The Mets, Rockies, Reds. Reds are probably out of it here in just a little bit. Nationals, I honestly think, are out of it. Those are the teams. So 4 spots left, and I'd say 1, 2, 3 of those teams are serious contenders that will get into the playoffs. That'd be the Phillies, Cardinals, and Giants. I think the Marlins are a joke. I don't think the Brewers have a chance. I think the Mets are going to fall apart like the Mets usually do. But it's going to be a competitive NL playoff. Like, honestly, and I think we've seen this. How many years did we see this? Like, where you had a wild card team make a run through the playoff and end up winning the World Series. Giants did it, and the Cardinals did it. Both NL teams.
Yeah, it's happened.
I don't know when the last time we had an AL wild card team run the gauntlet and win the World Series. I can't remember the last time when that happened. Usually it's been the top dog, been in the World Series, at least one of the top 3 teams. And the AL is pretty much clear cut and dry, isn't it? Am I mistaken on that, Eric?
Well, if the playoffs started today, the Rays would be number 1 in the American League. Let's start in the American League.
The Rays would be number 1?
Rays would be number 1.
Oh, good for them.
Athletics, followed by the Athletics, the White Sox, the Indians, Blue Jays, Astros, Twins, and Yankees. Just the way that the standings would work.
So wait, would the Rays play the Yankees then?
Yes.
They would?
That would be a great series.
Yes, give me that. Hey, is it a 5-game series or 7-game series? How do they do it now?
Best of 3. So, yeah, 5-game series.
Wait, best of 3? Then it's a 3-game series.
Oh, sorry, best of 3 would be a 3 games. I thought, yeah, my bad. I'm thinking first to 3 wins, but no, best of 3 would be a 3.
So first to 2.
Yeah, first to 2.
So so it would be the Rays, Yankees, and who?
Rays, Yankees.
Okay, I got the Rays, maybe. Yankees,
Athletics, Twins.
I want the A's. Just give me 1 year where I'm alive where the A's are in the World Series, please.
White Sox, Astros.
Oh, geez. Astros are going to wipe those guys.
Those White Sox bats are just crushing the ball.
That's true.
Indians, Blue Jays.
Oh, that'd be an even. I like that one.
That's an interesting one. There, I like that one. In
is
the
that
National
is
League.
That 4? Sorry, is that 4-5?
That's 4-5.
Okay.
In the National League.
Okay.
Dodgers would be number 1.
Okay.
Of course. Braves number 2. Cubs number 3.
Oh, who's 7th?
Padres 4th. Phillies
please
5.
Cubs 7th. Please Cubs.
Cardinals 6th. Giants 7th. Marlins 8th.
No.
So you'd have Dodgers, Marlins, Braves, Giants,
No.
Cubs, Cardinals. That's a great historic rivalry.
No.
And Padres and Phillies.
Okay, as a Braves guy, the 2 teams I want to avoid in the first round are the Giants and the Cardinals. Give me the Phillies, Marlins, or Padres. Please help me avoid the Giants or the Cardinals. I don't know why, but every time we play the Giants, everything goes wrong. The one year we played them in 2011 or 12, like our shortstop committed 4 errors in one game when we were up 3. We lost that game by 3. We had 2 injuries, one to our outfielder, one I think to our catcher as well. Like everything goes wrong when you play the Giants, and the Cardinals just. We saw what happened last year when they scored like 14 runs in 1 inning or whatever that was, and we won't talk about it ever again. Just, please, somebody other than the Giants. Give me the Marlins.
So who do you think's positioned best to find themselves into the World Series as of right now?
Dodgers. Like Mookie Betts has upgraded an already powerful lineup to like Hulkamania.
For me, the question isn't so much, do I think the Dodgers are going to be there? I think they will. I think they're likely to be the team that makes it to the World Series. But do they have the right kind of stuff to actually win it this year? They've had great teams for the last several years, but they just fade. The pitching doesn't hold through.
Okay.
The bats don't always uphold either.
I don't think the Phillies are real. I think they're going to be in the playoffs, but I think the Padres could take care of. I mean, that is a good 4-5 matchup. I think the Padres would still win that series. Cubs Cardinals, as you mentioned, would be really good. That's a classic rivalry too. That is delicious in every way possible. Yeah, I mean,
I think it's the Dodgers in the National League. I don't think there's really much question about that. They are better. I think they are deeper this year. I think they've kind of addressed some of their problems. Mookie Betts makes a huge addition for them. But the real question for me is the American League. It's not as clear cut and dry.
No, not even close, right?
Could it be the upstart White Sox? Is it going to be Tampa? Can they sustain their run?
What's going on with the White Sox? Because the last time I remembered, they had okay hitting, but they had horrible pitching and not great defense. Is it just the hitting alone that's vaulted him to the 3 spot? I mean, why are they so good all of a sudden?
Look, they have scored more runs than anybody in the American League.
Wow.
They've scored 230 runs.
Do you like that matchup? As if you're a White Sox guy, do you like that matchup versus the Astros, or does that scare you a tad bit?
The White Sox would face
Astros.
The Astros? No, that can't be right.
Yeah, 3 versus 6.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
That's what you said, right?
Sorry, yep, you're right. My bad. Yeah, White Sox, Astros.
Do you like that matchup if you're a White Sox guy, or you're like, please, anybody but the Astros?
No, I'd like that. Because the Astros are fake good.
Oh, yeah.
They haven't been nearly as dominant or as strong.
For obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Do you think it's the Athletics' year?
Man, I mean, why not?
Those poor guys have been through so much heck.
I mean, look, they have the benefit of being the only game in town now.
Yeah. That's
the
true.
Golden State Warriors moved to San Francisco. The Raiders moved to Las Vegas. They are the only game in town. Does that make a big difference? Probably not. But they're playing some solid baseball. They're on top of their division right now.
What's a more likelier upset? Yankees beating the Rays or the Giants beating the Braves?
Which is more likely?
Yeah.
Yankees beating the Rays.
Oh, man, you're so optimistic. I'm terrified about that Giants matchup. I do see the Yankees giving the Rays a lot of trouble, though. I mean, they got a lineup that's... How are the Yankees in 8th in this dang thing?
Garrett Cole is not really pitching that great. He is not... His last 4 times on the mound, he has not won. So, as deep as they are and as much as they have in their bullpen, they're really not playing that great.
Have they not been hitting either, then?
Not really,
because this is odd. Like, to see them have to face the number 1 Rays. Hey, what's those 2 records, by the way, Rays? I mean, how far off is
Rays
that?
are 28-15. The Yankees are 22-21.
Holy crap. So it is a ways off. All right. Wow. Indians, Blue Jays. That's a 50-50 toss-up, right? I mean,
Indians are 26-17. Blue Jays 24-19.
Indians got a good
I think
bullpen.
the Blue Jays probably have a little more offensive firepower.
Yeah, they have the boom, but I like the Indians bullpen too.
So the Indians, I think, are probably better on the mound.
Oh, please, Athletics. I'm just, for once, you deserve something good. I just want to see him in the World Series. What I want to see is the Athletics in the World Series.
The A's have, at least in the American League, only the Indians have allowed fewer runs.
Wow. Jeez. And they're still the number 2 seed right now, huh?
Yes, as it stands right now.
That's incredible. Really quickly, Padres. Contender or pretender?
Ooh, boy, they've been fun during the regular
they
season. The
have.
question is
they've been crushing it.
that youth and excitement, can it really continue into the postseason? I mean, it's going to be so different this year.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. Yep, I'm with you.
Over the course of a regular 162-game season, maybe that fades, but in a shortened season, they may be able to keep it going.
Huh.
That'll be a fun series, Padres and Phillies, if it holds true like that. All right, we got to take a step aside. When we come back, our pick 6, the 6 things we think might happen this weekend. Stick around.
Northern Utah and Southern Idaho's home for sports. It's the Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Eric Frandsen, Ajay, Salvesen, the pick 6 time. 6 things we think might happen this weekend. We always love to have you play along.
I think we should suspend this event until you've given me something.
I keep forgetting to get your prize. I never think of it until we're in the middle of a show.
I keep forgetting. Huh. Interesting.
Okay, so since you won last week, I'll let you go first.
All right. Hey, really interesting, fun game tomorrow night. Game 7 between Boston and Toronto. Both teams have went off. Kyle Lowry. No, excuse me. Sorry. Fred VanVleet. 3.5 3-pointers over under. Tomorrow night in Game 7.
3.5?
Yep.
I'm going to take the over.
Yeah, it's too easy. I took the over as well.
That's a good number. I'm going to take the over. Okay.
You want me to go, or do you want to go again, or how do we want to do this? Sorry.
Go for it. Well, I don't care. It's your call. You won the last couple of weeks, so you're the boss on this one.
So this is really bad, but Missouri State at Oklahoma, 5 p.m. Saturday night. Oklahoma scores 45.5 points over under.
Oklahoma scores 45.5 points.
Yep.
That's a lot of points, but it's Missouri State. I'm going to take the under.
Okay. I'll take the over.
You're going to win that one. Okay.
And then finally, Brady versus Breeze. 575.5 yards combined passing over under.
Sorry, how many yards?
500. I'm going to choose that. 555.5 passing yards combined the two.
Ooh. Well, that's
someone's going to
juicy.
have a 300 passing yard game.
That's juicy. It's possible. I'm going to take the under.
I'm going to take the over.
Okay, I've got high school football. Skyview and Green Canyon face each other Friday at Green Canyon. I'm going to take Skyview by 9.5 points at the line. You go over or under?
Woo! Over.
I am also going to take the over. To the NFL, Cowboys are going to be at the Rams. Cowboys by 3.5.
Over.
I'm going to take the under. Okay, and then the last one, number 14, Texas versus UTEP. The line is set at Texas by 43. You take the over or the under?
Over. It's UTEP.
I'm gonna take the under. That's just a lot of points in the spread. All right. We'll type these up. We'll share them on social media. Feel free to play along. Always love to hear and see your thoughts on these things, the things we think might happen this week. Tomorrow, we'll remind you of what's going on with high school football. Don't forget to go to cvpick'em.com. Make your selections, make your picks, and if you get the most right, you could win $100 in gift certificates to Johnny O Spud Nuts. So the CV Pick'em contest brought to you by the Logo Shop. Go check it out.